Hi guys, you're welcome to the Laura Studios. We are still on Android Material Design Basics. We'll be talking about activity transitions in material design apps, which provide visual connections between different states through motion and transformations between common elements. How you can specify custom animations for enter and exit transition and for transitions of shared elements between activities. I'll be looking at four different aspects of transitions where we talk about image transform, the slide, the explode transition, and the change text. In this particular session, we'll be talking about the image transform, and I'll be heading straight to Android Studio to create a new project. What about I'm going to name this project image transform, just a sub package from the activity transition. So let me name it this way, or let me just name it activity transition, because this is just going to be the structure of other implementation. In this particular source, I'll be adding up the image transform. Afterwards, we talk about the slide, we talk about the explode, and the last but not the least, the change text. So I actually wanted to sit right in the Android Studio project. Yeah. So I have it this way. Activity transition. Click on next. Phone and tablet. I'm going to opt for an empty activity. I'm going to give it a main activity and the layout name activity main examine. If there's any other modification, we'll be doing that in the source. So I'm actually going to set up the structure for this particular application. Before we actually continue, we're actually going to be using a library from the Transition Everywhere source. This actually provides some methods which will make the transition call easy. So I'll actually be including these manually. I think I've explained how to include an external library into your source time and over again, but I'm still going to do it again right there. So we're going to actually include the library manually, which I'm actually going to get it done through the source directly. Actually have the project, Android Studio projects, the name of the project activity transition. Now I'm going to paste right there the library which will be used. This actually includes the source being needed, which is the Java classes. Let's just take a rundown of it. Different from Android and also from Transition Everywhere. That's cool. From here, I will be integrating it into the source. So first of all, we get to the settings, where we have the settings.gradle, where we're going to actually specify the library as part of the include. So let me quickly do that. I'm going to add the camera. I'm going to have something of this nature. I call the library. Afterwards, I move to the build Gradle to include the compile of this particular library. I'm going to issue out a compile project. I'm going to call the library. So before I synchronize Gradle, I will also need the Recyclerview. Let me just include it once and for all so that I'll get to sync once, called cam.android support. Recyclerview version 25.1.1. That's fine. Now I need to sync now and get the application set and ready. So moving further, we have something from the target SDK Here we go. We have the library set and ready. We've actually included it. So you have the Android support Recyclerview version 7 25.1.0. That's fine. So let's move on. We have the library over here. So we'll be creating the layout files and we'll be doing some other things. So now I'm going straight to the rest, which we're going to have the layout. We're going to have the activity main XML, which is actually going to be the launcher UI of this particular application. So I will implore you to just follow along, and so let's get the text and have the preview. Now we have a relative layout. This will be changed to a frame layout. Actually need a frame, not a relative, and we're going to give it an ID after the XML tools. Let's give an ID. With ID, let's give it container. We actually don't need the padding button top and such, and even we don't need the context. I'm going to take away this. Don't need this. That's fine. We'll take away the text view, and as well I'm going to take away the ender frame because this has just taken signified that, so I don't need this as well. Just need it to be simple this way. So this is going to be the activity main of this particular analysis, and we're focusing on the image transform. So that is actually going to let us create a fragment image transform that will handle this particular activity. So I'm going to call it fragment image transform. Click OK. Let's go back to the text. Now that's a linear layout. We have the orientation of vertical, layout width and height, match parent. That's fine. This is what we actually needed. Now we're going to call the image view inside here. Image view, layout width and height, match parent, and wrap content. For the height, now we're going to assign an ID. Which we're going to call image. And we're going to call the drawable Android SAS at drawable. Let's give it man.png. Now I'm going to copy the drawable file from the picture. Let's go back to the picture. I have a picture of a man, a cute guy anyway. So I'm going to copy this, go back to the drawable, and now I'm going to paste it right there. Paste it there. That's fine. So we have that set. After this, we're going to have a text view. Text view, layout width and height, match parent, and wrap content for the height. And we're going to have the Android layout margin top 16 dp. We're going to have the gravity, while we're going to call center horizontal, and we're going to have a text that will be displayed, what we call it, tap on image. That's fine. So we have it set this way, match parent wrap content, center horizontal. That's fine. After this fragment, we'll actually be creating another XML, which we're going to call the list item. New layout resource file. Let's have the list item. That's just short snippet that we'll actually need in the course of the transition. Now this is going to be a text view. So I'm going to change all this. Text view. Above HTTP. Now the layout we tonight, match parent. The height should be wrap content. We don't need an orientation here. Don't need this. Now I need a background. Android background. How about I'm gonna call the attributes selectable item background. This is actually going to hold on to all text view. We're going to give a text color, Android text color. What about we call at color, the primary text, or color primary. Now we're going to give a padding. Extended. So all text view will actually use this functionality. That's what it's the bit. Let's have a text XML inside this layout. Text. And we're still going to create a fragment list. Let's just do this quickly. Text view. Before we continue, let me create a primary text which will actually sit in the color. So we represent the primary text with all text view instead of using the color primary. So I'm going to call it primary text. Text, which I'm going to give a dark black ash 212121. Let me have one more quickly. That's going to be color, name, second accent, hash FF E B3 B. That's fine. So back to the list item. Let's just use the color. Let's use a primary text over here. No, it's always good for a text to be black instead of some stylish color. Primary text. Let's use this. Let's go. So back to the text XML. Now we have the text view, or we call it XML Android. Let's change this also to text view. Text view. That's fine. Let's take away the orientation. Layout with tonight should be wrap content. Same thing goes for the height. That's fine. Now let's add an ID. Call it text. Let's have the layout margin tab. 16 dp. Let's have an Android text. Call that transitions are awesome. Get to use this in the text transition. Just let's create that down. Now we're going to have text color. Call the color primary text. I will set visibility. Okay. That's fine. It's okay this way. We now have the list item, the text XML. Now we're going to have the fragment list. So with that, we'll head into the Java class to have the image transform done. Let's quickly have the fragment list. Now this is going to call the Android support version 7 widget Recyclerview. Just that. That's fine. And let's take away an orientation from there. Layout with tonight match parent. We're going to have an Android attribute of clip to padding, or we call Android clip to padding false. Set up false. And we have Android padding button. It's DP. We have Android padding tab. It's DP as well. That's cool. So from here we'll be going to the Java class where we'll be talking about the image transform. So we're going to create, let's go to the Java class. First of all, before even going to the image transform activity, which handles the fragment, let's talk about the main activity, which is actually going to be the point where we're going to create a recycler view that will have the image transform, the slide sample, the explode transition, and also the chain text. So that's just the essence of that. Now I have an activity that extends a compact activity and implements. It implements the list fragment, which calls the sample list provider. This way, get to do that also. The sample list provider, and that's fine. So let's get digging. Now I'm going to create the structure of this particular application. We have the onCreate method, that's fine. Let's have the public void on sample selected, sample selected. I have an integer and an index. Now that structure created, I'm going to have the get public integer get sample count. I'm going to have another structure, public string get title for position. Again, I'm going to pass integer, index as a parameter, that's fine. Now I'm going to have another one called override, private this time, fragment, create fragment for position. To have it this way, integer, index, parameter. Let's close that. So let me now start passing some details into, first of all, we have the onCreate method where we set the super onCreate to the save instance state we call the activity main XML. Now we'll have to initialize the list fragment. Give it list fragments equals to new, instantiating this time the list fragment. Now we use the list fragment object created to set sample listener. Sample list listener. To this particular class, you're going to get a support fragment manager, whereby we'll begin transaction, we'll replace, call the ID container with the list fragments. Commit. We'll still get to create the list fragment class. There we get to have the set sample list listener and the sample list provider. So no cause for alarm. Let's continue with our coding. We're going to have the get support. Now we still have to do some animation, which I'll be doing after this particular method manager. Now we'll begin transaction. We're going to set custom animations to this particular one. Definitely these IDs will not be available, so we need to create that anim. The fading, anim, the fade out, to have anim, fading, as animation, fade out. It's fine. So we get to create this later on, but let me just continue. Now I'm going to replace with a container. We're going to create fragment for position index. We're going to add to backstack string value of the index. That's cool. Now we commit. Just like the way we did here. I think that's fine. Get to set to that. Okay, we don't need a semicolon over here. That's cool. So let's create the animation and let's have it set appropriately. So I'm actually going to create this in the res. I'm going to have a new directory. Set an Android resource directory. Yeah, should be an Android resource directory. Let's call it anim. Right inside the animation, we're going to have two different types, the fade in and the fade out. So let's create animation resource file and let's call it fade in. What about we have now we're going to change this to alpha because we're getting up daily with alpha, and let's get the Android duration. Android duration, which should be equals to sign Android integer config short anim time is over there. We also have Android from alpha passes 0.0. We have the interpolator. Which will be Android interpolator over there. We have the accelerate quadrant over there. That's fine. And we have the last on the list, the Android to alpha 1.0 set appropriately. So we can decide to close it without the need of the alpha. That's this way. So after this, we need to create another animation, which will be the fade out. Source, call it fade out. Same thing goes for fade out. It's actually going to be an alpha as well. So instead of me just running through, let me just copy out. I will make amends if necessary to the fade out. This time, short animation time from alpha now will be 1, so it's just going to change. Now this is going to be 0, in and out, just like the opposite. So instead of accelerate, it will be what? Guess, decelerate. That's the opposite. Decelerate. Quad. Let's go back to our main activity. Now we have the fade in, fade out errors all gone. Let's continue with the structure. Now we're going to call the get sample count. What are we going to pass into here? Or we're going to pass, we're going to return 13. No? For the get title for position, we have a switch case which has an index, it's parameter. Now case 1 or case 0 anyway, because it's actually going to start from 0, just like the way you start your array. Return, that's going to be the first on the list. Image transform transition. Let's call it image transform transition. That's the first we're going to be doing now. That's okay. Now the return null. For the fragment that will be called as the create fragment for position, we also have a switch index. This time the first case, this case 0. We still have to return, it must be the same with. Now you're instantiating a class with the new image. We're going to create that, transform sample. So these are the two things we'll be creating, the image transform sample and the sample, the list fragment. Let's create the list fragment before the image transform. Let's have the list fragment, very important. The list fragment, need that done. That's actually going to hold on to the Recyclerview. So we have this extends fragment. Should be in uppercase. So we have to import that, Alt, Enter. Fragment, which version? I think we should import the version 4. Version 4 is what we actually need. Now we're going to have a private field. sample list provider. Give it m sample provider. Sample list provider. No problem. First annotation, nullable, and override. Let's have the public view on create. View by passing the parameters. View on create, there should be space here. On create view. Layout inflator. View group. Container. Undo. Save instance state. It's this way. Creating a structure. So we're going to have the public void set sample list listener. All right, now we have the sample list provider. And the sample selected listener. We're going to have the private class, which is actually going to be the adapter, which extends Recyclerview adapter ViewHolder. So let's move on. Have that set appropriately. But before I move on with this, let me finish up the onCreate view, and let's know we're sorted those ones out before I move down to another class. I have the Recyclerview view equals Recyclerview. Now we inflate, call the inflate layout fragment lists container, false. We have the view. Gonna set layout manager. It's the sheet, the new linear layout manager. Call the container. We're going to get context. Just this way. Call the view again. Set the adapter. New adapter. Return view. That's fine. Let's move then to the set sample listener. We call the M sample provider, which will be equals to the sample selected listener. Just this way. Now we have the ViewHolder. What about we're going to create notation override. We have the public ViewHolder. I'll create ViewHolder. How about we have the view group. Parent, an integer, the view type. We're going to return new ViewHolder. But we're going to call the text view. To the layout inflator. From the parent, get context. Set appropriately. Now we call the inflate. Now you have the layout. Call the list item XML. Parent. False. Close it right there. We're having Alt Enter, Alt Enter. No, I don't think that's the view that we actually needed. Just let's move on with the coding and we'll have another override. This time we have the public void unbind view order. Call the view order. final integer position. So we're going to have the order, get the title, no, get title, I'm going to set the text, sample provider to get the title for position, as a position. Never mind. Just call on the order to get title. I will set on click listener. Set on click listener to that. We have the new view. On click listener, not override. Now we're going to create a click public void on click pass view v. Now we're going to call the sample provider colon on sample selected passing position. That's fine. Close that correctly here too. So over here we're going to have another one. Override. This time is going to be the get public integer, get item count, about we're going to return sample provider equals to null, and the itinerary to sample provider to get sample counts. That's fine. Now we're going to create a private class out of this particular adapter, which is actually going to be the ViewHolder. Private class ViewHolder extends Recyclerview ViewHolder. It's fine. Now I'm going to have a public ViewHolder. We're going to have the text view, text view, and we're going to return something quickly here, which will be the super text view. You see the errors are disappearing, so don't need to actually import that because we're going to create a private class called the ViewHolder. That's why I had to stop the importing of the Recyclerview ViewHolder. We need to stick to this, so that's just how it flows. Now I'm going to have the public text view, get title, that's what the get title. This time it's going to return text view, item view, that's all. And outside here we're going to have an interface, which will actually be public interface sample list provider. Which we're going to call the void sample selected. I'm going to pass in integer index as parameter. You're going to have the string get title for position. These are all interfaces that we just don't need to start creating different classes for. We embed it right inside the list fragment. Index, and see, like going one after the other. And then now have the last but not the least integer get sample counts. Alt gone. Can you see how clean it gets to be? You know, this is just how to set up a Recyclerview. If you've actually been doing this, it shouldn't be of an issue to you. You know how to actually set up your Recyclerview. Now we go back to the main activity, the sample list of the list fragment. That's fine. That calls the set sample list listener. Now looking at our imports, if you notice we imported the list fragment. We don't need this since we have the class called list fragment, so we just allow the main activity to use the list fragment. So I'm actually going to take away this. Sorry, I'm actually going to take away this line of import so that the source we just use the list fragment created. So we only need the image transform sample to get rolling. So I'm going to actually create a class, the image transform sample, custom sample. Click OK. This extends fragment. You get to see that, and we need to import the fragment. Support version 4. That's cool. So here we're going to do some things quickly. First of all, let's have the acknowledgeable. To override. Now we're going to have the public view. We're creating the onCreate view. About we have the layout inflator. We have the inflator. We have the view group, container, bundle, save the instance state, set. So that's just what we need. Now we're going to in the view. So we need a view right there. Creating objects. View should equals to the inflator. Inflate. Now we call the layouts. We also call the fragment image transform this time. Can you see that? The XML image transform. We call the container. I will give it false. Now we have a final view group of the transition container, transitions container, which will be equals to, now we call the view group from the Android view. What about we're going to find by ID? The view, we're going to find view by ID, pass ID, transitions container, transitions container. If you notice, it's telling us that this ID doesn't exist, so we have to go back to the fragment image transform to look at something quickly. Over there in the linear layout, we actually didn't add an ID, which is very important. So let's quickly do that. Android ID. We'll call the ID. Let's give it transitions container. Just this way. Back to the image transform. Now it should reference it appropriately. So we get to continue. We still call the final image view. Now we need create an object, image view equals. Also need to get the view by ID of this as well, image view. Now we call now transitions container, find view by ID, which is the RID image. Now we're going to call the image view object. We set on click listener to this, where we get to instantiate with new on click view on click listener. So right there, we're going to have with view on click listener. That's fine. We're going to have the boolean. M expanded as a boolean. If it's expanded, out of override, that's when the picture gets expanded. That's what that means. Just the name implies. Now we're going to have an on click public void on click. We're passing the view, create object of v from this. Now we call the m expanded. I have to use it to be equals to not expanded. Now we get to call the transition manager. Manager, which calls the begin delayed transition. Now you have the transition container. Instantiate with the new transition set. The new transition set. We're going to add transition. Break this down. We're going to add transition. Instantiate with the new change bounds. You're going to stay at transition, instantiate with the new change image transform. Just this way. Our set. Now we call the view group, what we call the layout params. Object params equals to the image view. We're going to get the layout params, layout parameters. Now the objects params will get the height, which should be equals to m expanded. Itinerary, that's if the view group, called the layout params with match parent. If not, the view group, still call the layout params with wrap content. Now we're setting the layout. See how we do this. Still call the image view right here to set the layout parameters. Pass the params. parameter. The last but not the least, we're going to call the image view one more time to set scale type. Now we pass the M expanded either true or false. Another itinerary. If the image view scale type center crop or image view scale type is fit center. That's all. Beautiful. Now we need to return the view. That's cool. Get the transform set and ready. Back to the main activity. That should go away, the image transform. Now the case for this set, we also need to return something over here because there's a return value. Just return null. First case, the index and just set appropriately. Alright, so we actually don't need the override. Let's take that out since we have the fragment from the list fragment, so we're fine with this. Let's have another class called visible toggle click listener. I will just make the toggle, create a sort of visibility when it's being changed. So let's quickly implement that. It's a short one. We implement the view on click listener. The view on click listener. Let's have the first feed private boolean. We call it mVisible. That's override. Now we're going to have the public void click, pass the view v. We get called the mVisible if it's equals to not mVisible. We're going to change visibility. To invisible. Got to create this particular method to actually be protected. Abstract void. Change visibility. It should just take in the boolean visible. So we have to declare this class as abstract. Just this way. Now we have it set. So it's for the toggle. We have a manifest which is being maintained fine. The main activity is the launcher. So I will be showing this particular application in an emulator, so you get to see how the image transform on this particular picture, which is right setting in the drawable, actually look like this particular picture. You see how the image transform will be effected right on this image view. So sit back and let's get to see how it looks in the emulator. So here we go with the image transform transition. If you can see, we have the first on the list, the image transform transition. From here we get to populate the slide, the explode, and the chain text. So let's quickly see what this is going to look like. Fine, we have the image set. Now we're going to tap on the image to make it be bolder. Let me put it that way, bolder, and it's going to actually fit the whole screen. Let's see how it goes. Just a tap on the image to see the transition. Can you see that? Can you see that it's looking more appealing? So in there you can actually add this to an image. Click on that, makes it bolder, larger, and more it has more depth right there. So this is just how to integrate the image transform into an Android application. You can use it in the course of a project to actually improve more on the picture quality, or this is a good UI effect. So this is just how it's a click takes you back to its previous state. Another click brings it up and makes it look bolder, and it's really appealing this way. Thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout this tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Stick by to the second module, which will be talking about the slide, how to integrate the sliding text into your Android application. Thank you once more. Bye bye for now.